Hey, principal's on the come up. We're running about 5 seconds behind, maybe 7 seconds behind, but here we are, PCUs. We are here today and we're talking about professional development. That's right, professional development. It is that time of year for professional development for you to be thinking about that. Now, some of you may be doing your professional development plans for this semester. Others of you may be doing your professional development for either the summer or for next school year. But there's some things that you need to consider when you're doing your professional development. And the first thing that I want to ask you, how many of you are planning? How many of you are doing your planning now? And if you are a school that is in need of improvement or was in need of improvement, are you a school who you just want to improve? You weren't flagged by the state, but you know that you're not where you want to be. How are you deciding what professional development is needed for your teachers? How are you coming up with that? And what would happen if your professional development, if you had your professional development, and there was no follow-up to your professional development? Okay, let's talk about the professional development thing. We have all been to professional developments where you have someone there who will have a sheet for you to sign up on, and you may get some kind of handout, and then you sit and you wait for the presentation. Then, of course, when they do the presentation, there's something that's wrong with the PowerPoint. Then they may ask you to watch the video, and there's something wrong with the video. Then they may tell you to take a break. Then they will come back and they will try to start the PowerPoint over again. You know those kinds of professional developments. And those professional developments are no good for anyone. They're not good for the presenter. They're not good for the principal. They're not good for the teacher. They're not good for anybody. But professional development is something that has to be done. If we want our schools to succeed, our professional development is the way that it's going to be done. Today, we're going to be looking at 3 things to consider when you're planning your professional development. The first thing is, will that professional development build teachers' capacity? Will it build capacity? Will it build the teacher's capacity? The second thing is, will the professional development inform teachers about students and their community culture? And the third thing is, will the professional development help inform teachers about having high expectations for all students? Now, we can have teachers who have high expectations for some students, but that professional development that you are considering, principals, part of that should be for you to have your teachers to have high expectations for all of your students. Hi, my name is Dr. Barbara Polk, and I am an educational consultant, and I have been the principal of a local farming school, turned the school around. I was accepted into the Harvard Graduate School of Education, their Urban School Institute, where we looked at schools that were low performing, and we found out that there were ways and things that we could do to get that taken care of so that they would not go back into the negative. We also want to make sure that any coaching or any type of professional development that is done to improve not only the status of the children as far as the accountability is concerned, but also to improve the community. So if you're the one that's responsible for teacher professional development on your campus, then today is for you. If you know that building teacher capacity is at the heart of learning, then this is for you. And if you know that professional development that should be done that will impact the teachers so that they will know about the community that these children are coming from, so that relationships can be developed, then this is for you. If you know that professional development builds a sense of urgency to improve your campus, this is for you. What I want you to do right now, before we get down and dirty and talking about professional development, what I want you to do is hit that like, hit that share, because you have some colleagues out there, you have some friends who need to hear this. What I want you to do for our purposes, I want you to hit that invite button. I want you to invite some of your friends. You've talked about the kinds of things that we have discussed in Principles on the Come Up. You know it's good stuff. So share that, invite your friends. When you invite them, they automatically come in because you are the ambassador. So I want you to do that. Also, be looking out for me to be sending you a message through Messenger, because I will be touching bases with several of you. I have been noticing the comments that have been coming in, and there's some resources that I'm working on that I'm going to need your support to help me with that. So as I schedule workshops during the second semester, and also in the summer and back to school, I want you to consider me as one of your consultants. Just go to our Calendly. I don't have that. Let's see if I can get that banner up for you into Calendly. There you go. And we can schedule a time on the calendar for a discovery call to see if there was something that we have taught that we can do an extension of for your campus, any workshops, any training, because there are lots and lots of things that we can do together to make sure that our children are succeeding. Also, on the 26th of March, and then I'll post this also on our Facebook group, we're going to have a coaching Q&A, because I think that our little short time that we have just specifically on the topics about leadership and about curriculum, there's some specific things that I know that you have in mind that you want some extended conversation on. And as a community, we'll have an opportunity to do that. So I will post that. That'll be March 26th. I believe it's the 26th. I'll have it posted from 6 to 7. And that'll be an opportunity for us to come together to talk about the needs. Remember, our needs, the needs that we're specifically looking at, are for those communities where you have children of color, for those communities who receive their rating. You know, it's not a bad rating, it's a C rating, but it's just not acceptable. And we can talk about ways to improve that. So we'll be having that Facebook live chat, and we'll be having more conversation. And of course, schedule a discovery call with Calendly, and we'll get you taken care of. So today we're going to be covering 3 things. We're going to be covering 3 things: principals, assistant principals, counselors, instructional coach. Why your professional development should build teacher capacity and follow-up. Why should it build teacher capacity and follow-up? The second thing, why your professional development needs to include the culture of the students and the school community. And the third is why professional development must inculcate into teachers to have expectations, to have high expectations for all students. As a former principal of a low-performing campus, I have seen it all. I have seen children coming to school who have done couch surfing. They slept at an aunt's house one night, an uncle's house the next night. They slept in the same clothes that they wore to school that day. We have teachers who didn't understand the population. They have their preconceived notions about the children. And a lot of the information about the children was true. A lot of them were involved in drugs. A lot of them were involved with guns and violence. That's just the kind of school that it was. That's where everybody went. The attendance rate was low. Nobody wanted to come to school. They came to school to have breakfast and eat lunch. They came for that. But as far as the kinds of teaching that was going on, it was not good. It was not good at all. But once we decided through professional development, because remember, we could not build capacity without professional development. Our teachers didn't know how to teach. Our teachers, the ones that were there, they came just because that was the job. You had some who came in on Monday and left on Friday, and we never heard from them again. We had some who didn't even make it a full week. We had some who got hired in November simply because they couldn't find a job anyplace else. They didn't believe in the children didn't believe in them. It was no reason to come to school. But it was all predicated on professional development. The principal had to learn. The assistant principals had to learn. We all had to learn together. We all had to build together. We all had to change our thought processes about these children. And we all had to want these children to succeed. And we can want all we want. We can hope and we can dream. But unless we teach our teachers, unless we build the capacity of our teachers, you're going to always get what you always got. And that's the definition of, insanity. You don't just keep doing the same thing over and expect to get something different. So when we talk about professional development, we're talking about building our teachers. So why should your professional development build teachers' capacity with a follow-up? Well, first of all, if your teachers don't know how to teach, well, first of all, principal, were you a teacher who went through the hard knocks, or were you just put into that position? If you were one that went through all the hard knocks, you understand the struggle. You understand that there's some things that you don't know how to do or what to do, and that's what your professional development is for. Your teachers have to be built. Your teacher capacities have to be built. Do you know that research says that it takes 4 to 5 years to build the capacity to create a good teacher? Now, the thing about that is, can you keep good teachers teaching in schools where the majority of the children are Title I eligible, where the majority of the children come from backgrounds where they're struggling? We can't get teachers to come to teach those children unless we build the capacity of those teachers and encourage them and teach them how to teach. The other thing about teachers is that research says that 80% of the teachers in the United States identify themselves as white, 7% as Hispanic, and the remainder, 5-6%, is African American. So that means that the majority of the people who are teaching the children of color, they want to know everything that they can do to help these children. They have gone through their alternative certification program. They have come from different backgrounds. Some of them may come from a background where they struggle, but they just don't understand the children of color in their background. And if you want to build the capacity of those teachers and to get those teachers where they should be, then you, principal, have to create that kind of professional development to build them up. And the next thing, and this is another nugget that I learned, once you build their capacity, then you have them to build capacity of others who are just like them. And that's how you build the culture of your campus, where teachers love coming to school, where teachers understand the children. And here's the other key. How can you have a follow-up? How can you have professional development and you don't have follow-up? How can you take a whole day of professional development and then they say, okay, well, we were so happy to work with you today and we'll see you next time? No. If you understand your budget, if you understand that your teachers are in a place where they need follow-up, then make sure you have the follow-up. Hey, Anthony, good to see you. Make sure you have the follow-up. Don't just have your professional development, have them to give you a goodbye, and then have teachers to walk back and they continue to do the same thing they did before they had the professional development. That's the first thing. The second thing is why professional development needs to include the culture of the students and the school community. You say, what? What is that? What does that have to do with anything? Your teachers need to understand where your children are coming from. So if you have to develop that professional development principle, then it's incumbent upon you to figure that out. Do your teachers know the history of the community where that school is? That's professional development. Do your teachers know where your children are coming from? Do they know where the apartments are? Do they have preconceived notions about those apartments that may not be true? Are you in a school that is going through demographics changes? Are you a new principal? Do you know the community from which these children are coming from? So what can you do with professional development to make sure that your teachers understand the culture that your children are coming from? When they start to understand the culture where the children are coming from, the purpose of that is just for understanding. It is not for them to feel sorry for those children. We do not want anybody's pity. When you are doing that type of professional development, you are simply giving information. You're building capacity. You're building capacity of the teachers who are teaching the children. Why must you build and inculcate high expectations of teachers? Why must you have that kind of professional development? Well, some teachers believe that some children can learn and others cannot. And that's for any race, any color, because we have some teachers of color who believe only certain races of children can learn and others cannot. And I'm not telling you something that you're not aware of. You know that. are even some teachers who don't want to teach certain children because of their race, right there in the middle of a school of color. You know who they are. That's a part of your professional development. That's a part of your professional development. They have to have high expectations for all children. And if you have to go out and look for someone who can help you and your teachers understand that all children are to be held to high expectations, then that's what you have to do, principal. Your school is not going to go from an F to an A overnight. Every school that excels, that has been identified as low performing, they start low and then they move up high. Some schools do it faster than others. But on average, within a couple of years, we should start seeing a trajectory up. But the only reason that trajectory is going to go up is because of professional development and following up on that professional development. We've seen too many times people are saying, well, you know, we're going to have professional development today. Are we going to do professional development on Zoom? Oh my goodness, on Zoom. All you're going to do, we're going to have somebody who's going to sit there and they're going to give us their slides, and we're going to, you know, write your little comments in the chat box, and we'll send you some information. And if you have any questions, put your questions right there, and then we're going to move on. That's not the kind of professional development we need. We need the kind of professional development where we have our teachers involved, even if it is Zoom. Have our teachers involved. Have our teachers to communicate. Give our teachers something to do. And then have a follow-up to see that is being done. That's the key, the follow-up. If you want to increase the urgency of moving up, your professional development is what does that. Professional development is what does that. We have some principals who have thrown their hands up with some teachers. You hear them saying, you know, they don't do this right. They don't do that right. I'm going to send them to Miss So-and-so's class, see if they can sit down and see what they're doing. I have them to watch, you know, their Zoom and see how they're doing the instruction. That's not professional development. And then when it comes to time for recommendation for renewal, you say, well, I'm going to non-renew them. What have you done to help them? That's professional development. What have you done to grow them? How did you grow as a principal? How did you grow as an assistant? How did you grow as a permanent substitute? Because in my mind, if you have a permanent substitute, that permanent substitute is going to sit there and have the same kinds of expectations as the regular classroom teacher has. And if you have substitutes in your building where you don't have those same expectations, and that substitute should not be in your building unless you just can't do any better. But guess what? You can always do better. You can always come up with the plan. If you have somebody that needs help, you can always come up with the plan. If you always focus on what the children need, then everything else will fall in place. So stay connected with me. We're going to have a good time in a couple of weeks, where we're going to have our Facebook Q&A. We're going to have a coach. We're going to have a coaching Q&A, and we're going to actually just do some talking on our chat and do some back and forth, because some people have told me that they want to say some things, and We want to hear from some of you because we have some fantastic people in this group. We have authors in this group. We have presenters in this group. We have people who have schools that are recognized as a blue ribbon. We have all kinds of folks in here. So in the next 2 to 3 weeks, that will be the time for us to speak up, identify, and talk about the things that we do, and make sure that I have the opportunity to come to your school so that we can help to make your school a school that will be a turnaround and a school where everyone wants to go because they've heard of the success at your school. So we have at the bottom, we have our Calendly scrolling. So just click on to Calendly and schedule a discovery call, and we can make sure that we can get together and see you. So one other thing too, I will be sending some messages to your messenger. So look out for it, because some of you I'm going to be asking some specific things that I need you to do to show your my appreciation for your support as we have brought our Facebook group Principal on the Come Up. So we will close for tonight. And Anthony, thank you for being here. And I can't see the other people on the other platforms because we are doing our StreamYard. But I will see you. I will see your questions. I will see your comments. And we will close for tonight. And we will see you next Monday. PCUs, Principals on the Come Up, 5 p.m. next Monday. Bye. Talk to you later.